Two, one.
I am the exact same way.
We're recording.
When I was younger,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
my it was almost like buzz cuts. And so like I didn't even know I had like kind of curly hair. And so I started like
Real.
kind of waiting till college and just being like I'm just
Dude,
gonna grow it out. And I started seeing like
dude.
curls happen. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck?
Dude. So I had a glimpse of it. So, like, I used to. I'm just gonna be honest. I love my family, and I'm respectful. But you know how it is in high school. Like, sometimes you get like a rebellious stage, you know.
Hmm.
And like my rebellious stage was, I tried to grow it out one time in high school and just avoid haircuts altogether. Like, I'd always have something going on. I was like, it's like, hey, you got to get your haircut today. Well, hey, I can't. I've got football and wrestling practice, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll just grow it out. And so it started like waving really quick, like it started like almost like a curl. And so like,
Hmm.
for the longest time, I was like, well, shoot, if I grow this out, it could curl, whatever. But I'd always have to cut it because eventually he'd catch me. Like, it got to the point where my parents were definitely smarter than me, just as most parents are. Like, he'd like that they'd set it up to where it's like they'd find a time where I had nothing going on. Then it was like, oh, hey, you're with us today. Oh, we're getting a haircut.
Yeah.
And so then that's kind of how that went. But then like you said, like once I started growing it out and like putting like the sea salt, because sea salt spray will just do it. Especially if you have any, like I always tell people that have wavy hair, I'm like, if you put sea salt spray in that thing, like I'm not saying it will, but like it did for me, I'm like, it curls, dude. It's like,
Hmm.
and like right now, I'm like, bro, I'm at peak handsome right now. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
like I lost a bunch of weight. I lost like 50 pounds from the end of 22, going into like late 23. I lost like 50 pounds, and like I got back in the gym, got back to like my high school like shape. So I'm like peak right now.
Jesus.
Oh yeah,
I just gotta get some pussy.
dude, that's a valid statement. I need to. I don't know. I'm gonna go that route, but I definitely wouldn't be, um not to say the gay thing, but that sounded wrong. We can cut that, I guess.
I was say, are you coming out here, Josh?
No, I'm not. Yeah, could we please cut that actually? Um, but
So,
I was like, I'm switching over to computer so we can have the cloud share.
so I think it's interesting that
Okay. So now that I'm on computer here, I can do this
go
now.
ahead.
So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
go.
turn my video. I'm gonna turn my video on.
There you go.
Give me a little light here too, real quick. Hold on a second. Um, so no, it's just like I definitely would love to like meet a girl. I am straight. But definitely do need to start getting on the girl front. Because like now I'm like peak handsome now. But I'll be honest, like so like I got back on and I hate dating apps, dude. Hate them. Hate
Which
them.
one are you on?
I'm on Hinge and Bumble, dude.
Well, honestly, I've heard like Hinge was kind of starting to become a thing when
Yeah.
uh when I like was just started kind of like the summer before I was dating Abby. Hinge was starting to kind of be a thing.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
like but the little that I used it, I was like, wow, this thing is so much better than
so
Tinder.
so when Hinge kind of came out, like you said, it was right before y'all started dating, because I remember I was so when I was dating Ava, Tinder was like still a thing. Like Tinder and
Hmm.
Bumble were like still like the ways you met people, and like everything else, like you see all these like TikTok ads and stuff for like Highly or like Raya or like Hinge, and it's
Yeah.
like you were like, is this fake? It's like I feel like these are like dating apps that nobody's on, so it's like early, it's fake. But Hinge kind of took the forefront, and it was like, oh look, okay, Hinge looks kind of real. So it's like
Yeah.
got on Hinge, and it was like real. Like everybody's like, honestly, like that's where I think the most quality is on Hinge.
I
Um,
was gonna say I when I was on there, it seemed like the girls who like actually kind of wanted to date and like were actually kind of take it seriously, they were on Hinge. You
so
know,
I
not the
learned my
girls who were
lesson
just like,
though.
oh, tell
So
me that one liner, like
so
that kind of
so
shit.
so I paid like $30 for Hinge X, um like 2 weeks ago. I paid for it for like a week. I wasn't gonna pay for it for 2 weeks. I was like, let me just try it out for a week, right? Like 2 weeks ago. And so the thing about Hinge X is you can put like preferences in, right? And like I'll be honest, like I'm not the tallest, I'm not the tallest like branch in the tree, dude. I'm like 5'9", on a
Yeah.
good day. 5'8" on a bad day, depending on the shoes I'm wearing. Um, and so like I'm like, okay, I'm not the 6 foot thing, and that's definitely a thing. And I don't hold that as a barrier. Like I'm not like, I'm successful in my own right, and I'm a cool guy in my opinion. So I'm like I can about like I've dated before. I dated a girl before Ava, then dated Ava. I was like I'm chilling, like I don't have to worry about the height thing. Um, but I was like, I knew it was a thing, especially on dating apps, because it's like first impression, and like girls are putting in their like perfect man
Uh-huh.
preferences. So I got on there and I put in preferences for like, I was like, you know what, screw it, like let's just make this fun. So I was like, no girl above like 5'3". I was like 5 foot to, or like 4'11" to like 5'3", like, because you can put a bunch of preferences in. I was like 4'11" to 5'3", between 20 and like 26 or something like that. And I was like, let's just see what happens, dude. Everybody in that category was a rocket, absolute smoke show. I was like, bro, I'm out of
Really?
my league, and this like immediately, dude. I was like, bro, I was like this is like just like this is like girls that are like model material, like absolutely
Yeah.
like could date like could date professional athletes, or like Nico is probably in these girls like hands, bro. Dude, like
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, dude, because like I forget who I was talking to about this. I was basically like, dude, this is just like a way to like just make money off these guys. Because
dude,
like you can't you like pay for hearts and stuff like that or
yeah, no, it for sure is a way to make money off guys, especially if you're like a low hanging fruit guy, where it's or a high hanging fruit guy, not because like low hanging fruit's easy. Um, like if you're like higher on the side of like I'm probably not gonna like get like a date quickly. I feel like guys
hmm
do pay for it a lot. Um, especially if you're not like the best looking, or if you're like a little heavy, it's like I'll just pay for it and see what happens. Um, which is like a different thing. It's kind of crazy because like you can sit there and like you can filter it. I filtered it. Now my claim to fame, I did match with a Tennessee volleyball girl that was like played volleyball at
Really?
UT, dude. I matched with one, and like what's funny is like, dude, like there's like 4 or 5 girls, her being one of them, was like the first line in was like, "You look like Jeremy Allen White. You look like Lip Gallagher," and I was just like.
That's funny.
I was like, we're gonna lean into it, you know. I was like, yeah. I was like, is that a good thing? That's always my first line. Is like, is that a good thing? And then they never respond. I got like one response out of like the 5 that sent it to me, and I was like, did you actually just match with me just to say that? And then like that was it. Like, okay, like we'll just. But
It's funny you say that because like some of the people I matched with who were like athletes or whatever it was. It was the exact same thing. It was like, aren't you my SI leader? And I'm like, God damn it. Like,
dude, no, real dude. It's like, and I'll be honest, like I've been on a couple like this was probably the most prevalent year for me after my hair went to curly. Because dude, I'll be honest, and I got to give you some props, Andrew. You've had this for a minute, dude. Curly hair's a thing, dude. You can about you can overlook a lot of things with curly hair. Like
yeah.
that's just a natural thing. And like so many, like I got so many matches, and like I had a good amount of dates this year, but a lot of them are just like one daters. Like I'll go on a date and it's either I'm like, dude, this is there's no way. Like this girl, like I went on a date with this one girl's monotone, bro, which is funny. It can be funny if they do it right, because I'm like I have no issue with monotone, but like you got to be funny with it. You can't just like show up and be like this right here the whole time, robotic voice, like how are you doing, how's your day. um that can be funny if you do it the right way, but like when this girl was not right, and I was like, no, this ain't it. Like I was like, hey, and I text her like after the date, and I'm like, hey, this just isn't gonna work out. I just don't see this going forward. Like I'm cool being friends, but like I just don't see this going forward. Which is funny because like I've been on both sides of it now, because it's like I'll have dates I'll go on, and I'm like, oh, this girl's cool, like she's cute, everything, and then she'll text me the same thing, and I'm just like, damn, this is what this feels like, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not getting anywhere on the dating spectrum. But like lately, I'll be honest, like this whole year, really, I've learned from dating is like I do believe life is like a force where it's like this just isn't my time. I'm like God and life just
Oh yeah. I mean,
not
Abby and
my
I talk
time.
about that all the time, dude. Abby and I talk
It's
about that all the
yeah,
time.
no, I mean, and like me and Avi used to talk about that. You know, we were dating because that was like the last like relationship I was in, and we would just be like, you know, it's like so nice to know it's like, you know, when it's your time, it's your time. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do that's gonna stop it. You know, even if it's a lesson, even if it's like a relationship that's gonna end, it's like at the time it was like, dude, this is like perfect timing. Like this is
Yeah.
exactly what I needed. You know, life and God knew I needed it at the time. But lately I've just been like I've been chilling. Like I'm enjoying kind of being single. And right now it probably would take an act of Congress to get me to like really like date somebody, because like
Yeah.
I'm I'm so happy right now with what I'm doing, like comfortable living life, doing what I want to
I
do.
mean, you're what, 25?
I'm 24.
24. Dude, I mean, don't even worry about that, dude.
No, I ain't worried about it. I got time. I ain't worried about a thing right now, dude. I got time, but like, it's also funny because like there was a point like during my dating life, like even post the Ava relationship, where I was like, man, dude, maybe I'm just like sucking this up. Maybe I'm just like not gonna reach any potential, and then it's like I get in this job, and then like political starts going. I'm like, okay, never mind. Like
Yeah.
I'm where I need to be. Like I'm crushing it in my field. Like I'm okay. And so like the confidence has been a thing now where it's like, especially like lately, because it's like I wouldn't be matching with half the people I'm matching with now if it wouldn't been for like my change in like weight and hair. Like I said, the height does hurt a little bit, but overall it's not been a killer.
So to tie it into like some politics and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's how I am.
Um, I was looking at some data today, and this is like right up Austin's alley, but I was looking at some data and it was saying that, people always talk about the marriage rates are going
Yeah,
down like
yeah,
drastically. And one of the pieces of data that I saw was for people who have a bachelor's degree, it's only gone down like 3 or 4%.
yeah. It's not much
Like
on.
it's all like kind of class. Like the poor people are the ones who aren't getting married.
Well, I think too. Not to pick on the female species all because I love women and I want to be married to a hardworking female that like loves her life and stuff and loves God and the whole thing with it. But like I think in a way too, you got to think like the generation really before, well, I say two generations before us. Um, women kind of started coming into their own with the workforce, and I think now we see way more women that are like independent and like they are like scared to date because it's like they're doing their thing. Like, why would I let like a man in and like do this thing? Because I think overall,
Well,
guys,
there's that, and then there's hoflation.
dude. So hoflation is a real thing. So I literally believe in this topic. I saw this on Instagram. Might have sent it to you. I definitely sent it to my best friend in Texas and here was that inflation's a real thing. So like the thing is like there's a lot of fucking simps in this world. Like I'm just gonna say this, like there's
Oh
guys
yeah.
that have treated fives like they're tens. And my best friend has this line where he said, I think we need to start telling ugly people they're ugly and stop telling pretty people they're pretty. And I agree. I think that would solve some problems in the world because now it's like I have to put on like a LeBron in Miami performance to pull a damn
Yeah.
deck six. And it's like, bro, dude, I miss the days when I could like go out there and just, have like a half-assed game and, you know, be in a relationship, and like it was like, oh, I'm chilling. And then it's like I got out of it and it's like, dude, the hoflation is crazy, dude. Like, dude,
Yeah.
Biden not only increased inflation, but hoflation was a thing, dude.
So I always love the memes where they're talking about deporting uh Mexicans or whoever it is,
Yeah, yeah,
Hispanics in the Trump administration.
yeah.
And Barron's like talking in his dad's ear and he says, "Get rid of the fat ones first." Like we got to keep the skinny ones,
Mhm.
We got to keep the good-looking ones here. Keep the
Yeah,
good-looking Latinas.
dude. So
Get
like,
rid of the ugly ones.
and dude, so there's also a statistic there. So like a lot of people I've met that are like Republicans. So like I work with a guy. He's our GED in West Tennessee. He married a lady from like Brazil. This one guy that was a volunteer for me. He met his wife from like Costa Rica. Like a lot of dudes are like going on like mission trips and like meeting wives in like South
Dude,
America.
Austin, dude,
Yeah, Austin.
his
Austin's
wife,
wife's Latina, it's
yeah.
like I'm gonna have to like I told everybody I was like, screw it, dude. I'm just gonna take like a 3 month vacation
Oh, dude,
sabbatical from
seriously, that's
AFP. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna go to Argentina or something and like I'll find me a Brazilian dude. But like my dad has this thing, he thinks like the Mexican family now is like what the American family used to be. Cause like you'll see it and it's like the mom like takes care of the household, like raises the kids. They know that shoe kung fu where it's like I'm gonna throw a flip flop at my kid if he acts up and the dad works his ass off all day long and then comes back,
Yep.
he's like good to go. And like there is that theory with like the Latino and like the Mexican side of things, and I respect the crap out of them. But yeah, no, dude, I've seen a lot of guys, a lot. Like Austin was just another, statistic to me. Was like I was like, bro, I'm like, all these guys meeting these Latinos. I'm about to meet me like a Mexican girl. Like that just seems to be the
Yeah.
way to go in today's age and time.
Well, dude, I mean, think about it. There used to be a bunch of guys who would marry like Vietnamese women,
Oh, dude,
um,
Vietnamese was a thing, dude.
Chinese, Korean,
Dude,
Japanese.
dude, those
So I guess maybe now it's just kind of coming full circle
dude,
and going to the
dude.
south.
So my cousin, he's way older than me. So my dad, his older, my dad was a twin, but they had an older brother, and he was 18 years older than them. and he had a son about my dad's and them's age, and so like he served in the military in the Marines back in the '90s and early 2000s, and like they were stationed in Okinawa at one point, and like the amount of people they said that would like date or like marry the Japanese girls over there was insane. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's like, that was just a thing. It's like, hey, we're going to Okinawa, man, meet you a wife over there in Okinawa.
Yeah.
So
So,
maybe I'm in the wrong pool, dude. I need to like
well, I have some preferences towards some northern European women, or it's southern
dude, Trump
European
over
women if
here,
we
Mr.
can.
Trump over here. He's like Northern and Eastern European. He's like,
I know, dude. I'm like, hey, if we shake up too much of the stuff in Ukraine, let's send those
that's
blonde
what
girls
I'll
our
do.
way.
I'll go find my Melania, man, in Eastern Europe, dude.
Oh
That'll
yeah,
just be the
dude.
way to go, dude. It's like, dude, I do have preferences there as well. But no, it's crazy, dude. Like I'll see these people like, um, and actually, funny. I remember Ava had a roommate that was from South Africa. Her name was Rosie. She got married. She just got married actually, to her boyfriend that she was with for like 2 or 3 years. And he was just from here, but she was like from South Africa. And it's like,
Yeah.
different cultures. Like it's like, whatever. Like,
Well, dude, I was looking at some stuff about the South Africa apartheid, because it was part of a book I was reading.
yeah,
Um, and I was sitting there, and they were always talking about the white South Africans versus the black Africans and everything like that.
yeah,
And I thought it was so interesting because there were like a ton of beautiful models that like apparently were coming out of like South Africa. Like they were constantly getting like Miss, Universe and all that other kind of stuff, which is
yeah,
crazy.
absolutely.
And then you got businessmen and stuff like that, like Elon. I mean, Elon's from South Africa.
Dude, Elon was from South Africa. And dude, I'll be honest, it's funny. It's like South Africans, dude, they're white as snowflakes, dude, in South Africa, dude.
Oh yeah,
Like, absolutely.
they're just like us. They're
Dude,
transplants.
dude. Well, it's just a community that got created. Which is funny because like you see communities that get created due to like migration or like if you're really really want to get into history, it's like Australia was a British prisoner colony.
Yeah, it's a
That's why
penal
they have
colony.
that's why they have kind of the English accent like "Good day, mate," and throw some shrimp on the barbie and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, dude, that's that. But then and I can go into a whole thing with accents because I think Southern accents are fake, but that's my opinion.
Oh, you think
Um,
so?
well, you don't have one, and I don't have one now. Like if you're like in the north, like if like for example, like when you go to DC or like when I'm in DC, and that's like barely north. There's like you can tell we have a draw, and it's like yeah, you're from the south, but like I'm not joking, man. Like I'll sit here in Tennessee and like I'm like if I can pick apart accents in like different areas of the South, like and I can do them like fluidly, like South Carolina, you got that T, or like in Georgia, you got like the Savannah and the things, and then it's like you get to Louisiana and the boondocks over here, like in Louisiana,
Yeah.
the country bumpkins in Louisiana. Um, yeah, I can sit there and do all that all I want to. I think it's like a lot of it is kind of forced because I'm like, man, like you're talking like ancestors, bro. Like, come on, like old English, I get was a thing, but like, we're modern. Like,
We're
you don't have
past
to,
that.
yeah, like you don't have to talk about it like that. But dude, like some of them are just like we have this guy that works for us in AFP Louisiana. I love him. His name's Caleb, and but dude, he talks just like his voice was aged in like 12-year-old like hickory whiskey, very very like Cajun esque like Creole almost. And I'm just like, dude, I'm like, you're not even talking like a human being right now. But that's
Yeah.
just this thing, and I'm just like, do it. Maybe you talk yourself into thinking that's your accent, but I'm just like, it's just not real to me. Um, so I think Southern can be kind of a thing where it's like I feel like we have draws. I don't think we have like because like I'll be honest, like some of the country rednecks around this part, like if you talk like this, I think they're closing the side of their mouth. Like I think they're closing like a side of their mouth, and they're trying to come off like I'm from East Tennessee, and I don't believe it's real, dude. I got a friend
See,
named
I
yeah.
I I will do certain words. Certain
Look,
words
like
I'll be
I'll
like, oh,
I'll
you
say
like
it.
your mama? Like I'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
dude,
kind of
dude.
thing.
I had a Mima. I'll say y'all. I don't mind to
Yeah.
say y'all, but like I speak in a modern accent. But like, dude, like I've met people that like literally, like, dude, one of my great friends, her name's Mackenzie. Dude, she is literally cornbread. Like I literally call her cornbread. That's the way she talks. Like she literally thinks the song "The Way I Talk" by Morgan Wallen was made about her. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
at this point, I'm like, I've heard her talk enough. I'm like, you're cornbread. Like you have forced yourself to talk like this and become your personality, and that's fine.
You know, it's funny. It's funny
It's
because
not
Abby
real.
Abby thinks some Morgan Wallen song where he's talking about girl with the blue eyes is talking about her, and it's like, sweetheart, it's not talking about you. You know,
No, God, no,
it's
dude.
not about you.
Like Morgan Wallen, dude. Like the only song I've ever seen him talk really about a girl was "Lies, Lies, Lies" about Megan Maroney. But like, um, but he's not talking about you. It's like, yeah, that's like Riley Green. He's like, the girl with the green eyes, and it's like,
Yeah,
it's like, no, they're not talking about you, sweetheart. Like,
yeah.
and we
He's
come
talking
back
about the model who's like over
like
at his house
like like
in
like in
LA.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Morgan scored more in Alabama than we did in 10 years there, but as Theo Vaughn would say. But like I will say too, like that also, full circle moment here. We come back to Hoflation is the Instagram stuff, like every girl like going to these concerts or going to these like things where like semi celebrity people like this, like that Kinsey girl I was telling you about there. She went to this concert, this like unknown guy right now that's like singing country music, and I'm just like, dude, like what are you gonna do? I'm like, even the semi famous ones are like they're chilling, like they've got their groupies. Like you're you're from Greene County, Tennessee, like you're not special,
Yeah.
like like. But
Well,
it's
and that's one thing I try to like tell people like a lot too is I'm like there's like some fake people out there, and honestly that's one of the reasons why I don't like Morgan Wallen in terms of like his like where like he
like a
kind of acts
personal
like
side
he's
of it.
like all like super country, and I'm like, dude, you're from Gibbs. Like
Dude, yeah,
what?
no, he went to Gibbs High School, dude. Like, and like, if you gotta think, dude, like the dude, like he kind of like even before he was country, like he was on The Voice singing like pop culture pop songs. Like he wasn't even doing country until someone finally just told him, "Hey, dude, go to country and sing XYZ." Like you did not
Yeah.
just like have this accent, bro. Like you played baseball at Gibbs and sucked. Like let's just like you were not getting pussy in high school, dude. Like you definitely were like, that mullet. The only reason it's attractive is because you're famous. Like let's just call
Oh
it
yeah. Oh,
like
100%. And
like
like you
you
said,
were
because
not.
every girl thinks he's singing about her.
Well, yeah, because like I'm like I've seen his teeth. I'm like you don't even, like your teeth, the way your mullet was. I'm like if you weren't famous, you're fucking this average red guy from Rogersville or like Greene County or Knoxville. That's just like in the outskirts. That's just like the redneck. You know,
Yeah.
like you're
I told I always tell Abby this. She gets mad. Is I basically said I'm like he's like you. Like he's not in like a really rural county. He's kind of in like the suburbs of like
yeah,
Kingsport, like
absolutely.
that kind of stuff. And his parents are probably above average income for that area. But you still want to act like you're some country person, and
Yeah,
you want to wear your boots. You want to wear your camo to school because you just have embraced that
dude,
lifestyle.
and, and
It's
and
like
like here's the thing.
whatever.
Like I always like what's funny is like my dad was like me and him were he's like well he's like you can because so my dad's big on Yellowstone. If y'all are big on Yellowstone, I'm not, but like the show. I'm literally Casey Dutton half the time I say that. But like um, he was like, man, he's like, you wear boots and like jeans, like you could like you got like the cowboy kind of vibe. I'm like, not really. I'm like wearing like when I'm wearing my boots, I'm like wearing a pair of jeans and like a dress shirt or like a Lululemon like hoodie. Like I'm
Yeah,
I'm very very urban cowboy. Like not the Urban Meyer version of urban cowboy, but like I'm
yeah.
very like like I'm very like I'm like I'm very urban with it. Like I
But
know
here's the thing,
my
and that's but you're not being anything you're not being, or you
No,
are. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Cause like that's me. It's like, it's like I'm not like I knew I wasn't redneck. Like I wasn't raised that way. Like even and I grew up in a trailer. Like I grew up in nothing. And so like, I know what rednecks were. I went to high school. Like I went to the school with kids that were driving diesel trucks and like showing up and like talking like it like no dude, we're not that country, dude. Like we're not.
But see,
Not.
I've always said this. I was always like, and maybe we can bring this to Tim Burchett because I know you love Tim Burchett.
I do
Um,
love Tim. I had a great meeting with him,
um,
and we'll get to that in a minute too. We'll get
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah.
success
So,
meeting.
I think about like with him is I'm like, he's from Knox County, and like, yeah, in some parts of Knox County it's kind of ruralish, but I'm like, it's not, it isn't really,
No, not
and
really. If you think, I mean,
I
over
sit and I
over.
look at him, and I'm like, you're not like you're kind of like that. You fit the part. Like you're the guy who's like, okay, I'm from the suburbs of the city that, and it's kind of in this like rural
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely,
exurban area, and
absolutely.
that's what it is. And like cool. Like, but he's not trying to be anything more than that. And I feel like I kind of like that. Whereas, like, if he was, say, like, from, like, Bill Haslam looking like that and talking like that, I'd be like, come on, Bill. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
No, yeah,
Like,
dude,
you
don't
know,
feel I'm like, dude, Jimmy didn't raise you like that.
no,
Like,
no, no.
they had a servant in the house, bro. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, let me know
there's
how those pilot gas
pilot,
stations.
pilot, yeah, yeah, give me the pilot,
Oh, and the Cleveland Browns, right?
like, you own the Cleveland Browns. You're not talking like that.
No.
You're not showing up in a cowboy hat,
The thing, he got tapped to do some like committee or commission or
dude.
something like that.
Yeah, he did. But like we're talking about there, and we'll go back to that too. We're talking about like the Haslam's there, so I'm like, you're not like wearing the cowboy hat, like dude,
Oh,
like
no,
come
no,
on,
no.
like I've seen like Ted Cruz do it, and coming from the Ted kind of family of politics, it's like he used to do that, and I'm like, you're not, dude,
It's
like
not you, dude. It's not
dude,
you.
dude, yeah, no, dude, like I watched Ted like literally like get told like by like an opponent one time you don't know Spanish, and then like they taught him the only line he knew in Spanish was like, of course I speak Spanish, you dumb fuck, and that was like in Spanish, but nobody knew what it meant. It was just like blah blah blah, and it was like, of course I know Spanish, you dumb fuck, and that was it. Like that's it. Like
Yeah.
that's it. That's all we learned in Spanish for the week. And so like no, it's just not. But no, and kind of go back to what you were saying there. And I'll let you kind of go back to there. But yeah, it's just I don't think it's a real thing. I think it's
No.
I think cowboyism is a thing that you either do or you don't.
No, I mean, I remember when it became a thing. And that's kind of when I was like, okay, like where were you in that transition? Like I knew kids who was like once it kind of started becoming popular, they knew,
Yeah.
okay, the girls are panties are gonna be wet. I'm gonna get a lift in my truck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get
Put,
overall. I'm gonna
put the lift kit and the springs on
get
it.
the lift kit, get the
Yeah.
springs, get the off-road tires on it, even though
Some
you're
diesel.
gonna
Yeah.
be on like fucking whatever it's called, gravel the entire time. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I've seen this, I've seen it, I've
Like
seen it.
slinging rock we were slinging rock in rock parking lots, dude. Like I get
Yeah.
it. Like, I don't know. I was not that kid, dude. I just, man, dude, I remember when Jeeps, when like the Jeep Wrangler was like the
Oh,
car,
dude,
bro.
it's still a thing. That's
Yeah,
still a thing with
yeah, yeah,
girls.
yeah. But like, there was a point when I was in high school where like Jeep Wranglers, like you had a Jeep Wrangler, dude, like your dick went from like here to here,
Oh
and
yeah.
like, and like everybody was like, Jeeps were like the thing. That was like the chick magnet, man. You have a Jeep, man. Girls are gonna be asking you to go up to the mountain, man. It's like
Oh yeah.
we're gonna go drive up my Viking Mountain or in the Smoky Mountains, and like we're gonna be just fine. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Let's go take a drive.
I'm like, bro, you're gonna drive through the water and not know what the fuck
Yeah.
to do, dude. Like, come on. Um, but it's funny. I watched a kid tear his Jeep up doing that, and I was just like, you're not a cowboy, dude. Quit trying to be fake.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
wearing your Carhartt fucking hoodie out here,
It's
like.
like I know. It's like, dude, you're poor. You're not rural. You're poor.
Dude,
You know.
I swear to God, dude, I went to high school with some kids. I genuinely think their parents were so invested in their kid looking good that they took out loans. I swear to God.
Oh well, yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
I
well,
swear to
I,
God.
I'll say this about Maryville. I never felt like there were
Give me the
people where
Maryville vibe. Like, I don't know what Maryville
you were
looked like.
like, oh, like that's the rich family. Like you kind of like I don't think I knew would have known who really is the most wealthiest person at
Yeah.
Maryville. Like everyone was kind of like I always felt like they were upper middle class. They were never like rich. They were
So
never CEO of something.
so we obviously, because I come from a small town. I come from
Yeah.
Greenville, so like we knew. Like we knew who the rich people were. Like it's like we had this one kid who he didn't start. His name was Thomas. He didn't start save his life in football, but like his parents would like throw these like his parents would let him throw these parties and they'd be there like drinking
Well,
high school, and I'm just like, and I never went, but it's like, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what, like he's out here walking around in a cowboy hat and like the Carhartt and the firing up the diesel truck, rolling the coal in the damn driveway, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like,
yeah,
you live in the suburbs, like I'm like, you don't live like you're not
yeah.
far out. Like I knew people that live far out and they'll do that and that's fine, but I'm
Well,
like, live in the damn suburbs.
well, and that's what kind of gets me a little irritated with Abby. Um,
Yeah,
because like her parents aren't that.
dude, the
But like
Hiltons.
her, but she is. And I'm like, what are you
So
doing?
so the Hiltons were that, so, and that's why like I will say like with Ava, like she was that way too. And like Ava had this like thing where she was like, there's never enough redneck. Yeah, I remember
Oh,
like
really?
I remember meeting like the family, and it was like, especially like on our dad's side, it was like, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like that was their thing. Like they were all like, we're Sevier County, like Tennessee people, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I get that. But it just wasn't me. I'm sitting here at this property, dude, like wearing my like Lululemon pants, bro. Like
Hmm.
these like guys out here wearing like boots and jeans and like trying to sing like George Strait on the radio, and I'm like, bro, I'm the
Yeah, you're out of your depth.
farthest, bro. I'm out of my comfort here, dude. Like,
Well, it's funny because I'll talk to Abby about it, and I'll be like, she'll be like, I want to be like kind of in the rural area, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, so like, how far away do you want to drive till you get to like a Publix? You
so
know, and
like,
she's like, oh, like 10 minutes.
even
I'm like, that's not where you're gonna be.
but even Abby like is like in that kind of like wants
Yeah,
the rural side of
she
it.
is, but then like she's also kind of like I think she's like, no, I just want to wear it when I want to look cute. And
Bro,
I'm
y'all are
like,
going to New
okay,
York,
then at least you're being honest about it.
Abby Isabel, y'all are going to New York City and shit. Don't give me
I
that
know.
shit, dude. Don't give me that shit.
And
Like
like we have to have
you are,
Carhartt, and I'm like,
you
shut
are
the
going
fuck
to New
up.
York City and enjoying the city. Like, do not give me that shit right now.
I
Like,
know.
no, no.
So,
Which is why I'm like sitting here. I'm like the guy. I'm over here. Like, I'm that way too. Like, I ain't blaming you. Just don't like, you know.
I've been meaning to ask you this because I don't know your opinion on this. So
Yeah,
I think I saw there was like an article about because I think last time we talked about the stuff in New York City, um, I think they
yeah.
found out he had a ghost gun, right?
Yeah, so I
And
saw where he had the ghost gun, and then we're talking about Luigi, right? The
yeah,
gun guy. So yeah, I saw where he had the ghost gun. And dude, I'll be honest, dude. I swear to God, my phone listens to me. I was on Twitter like not 30 minutes after that last meeting where we talked about it, and it was like my entire feed was like the Luigi
oh, same thing.
minigun. Dude. I was like, God bless. I was like, damn it. I was like, Andrew already put this on my in my feed. I was like killing Vol Twitter too. I was crushing it on Vol Twitter. I had Ohio State fans mad at me. I got like voted like eighth most obnoxious like account. I was pumped, man. I was like all Vol Twitter. Thank God. I was like, get out of politics for a little bit, and then here comes Luigi Manigan, man, dude. I was like, fuck, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but no, dude, it's crazy to think about because I'm just like, this dude was chilling, bro, dude. Like, he just had the damn ghost gun and just like,
I'm like, I don't even know how to do that, you
yeah,
know? And
dude, I don't either.
I could look it up, but I'm like, the fact that like you looked
Like,
it up and did
that's
it.
like shit in a movie, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like it was like the Hitman's Bodyguard with like Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson. He talked about a ghost chip which goes in like your phone, and he was like, I carry a ghost chip so people can't follow me. This is why they followed us because you're over here running with like 20th century technology, and I'm over here. I'm like, like it's funny because like who thinks of that? Like who thinks of like the
Yeah.
ghost chip or like a ghost gun? It's like nobody thinks of that shit, dude. Like you're outside of it, bro. Like come on, it's a
So
movie.
so first, do you think this is going to change any uh firearm policy regulations?
Maybe up north it won't change anything. So I mean, not with Trump and all. See, dude, the South is gonna be the South.
Mm.
Um, and Barron's gonna save TikTok, but like um, but no, dude, the South is gonna be the South. I think it's one of those things. Like, I think there's too much history and too many guns in the South. Like, if you tried, you know, to do some shit, like there's some dudes that have guns. It's like, try me. Like they're
Yeah,
gonna be
no,
like, try
I mean,
me.
I've got like six.
Dude,
Like,
I finally got my, I started off with none at the beginning of last year, but I've got five now. But like I know people that have a fat amount, like that are like, that are like, like my best friend, his dad has a gun safe, and he has like, dude, he's the way that my best friend's dad's because he's wealthy and he has his own business, but like he has like one of those like where like he sleeps and like they have like shelves on their headboard, like the bed
yeah.
headboard, and underneath the bottom shelf where like he sleeps and there's like a headboard right above his head, and he's got like the magnet gun. Like it's like you can just pull it down, or like from like dude, he's got them all over his house. He's got like the whole like you can like, reach under the nightstand table. It's like
Yeah.
there's a Glock right there, baby. Dude, it's like
See, okay, so for me, I think that's a little much.
I agree,
Um,
I couldn't.
Now, I will also say though, I really don't like. I don't really care about how many guns people have, and
Yeah, I don't either.
I feel like it's like okay, like this guy's got all these guns, and it's like yeah, like he's got all these guns, and like odds are nothing's gonna happen with him. So like why why are you like it's almost like why are you making a big deal about this? Because this small certain people get it. So like why
Yeah,
are you gonna go ruin it for everybody?
Dude, so that's kind of where I'm at with it too. It's like why ruin it for everybody? Now the North, I mean, dude, you get up north, I mean, it's cool to visit New York City, love visiting Chicago, the comedy clubs are great, but it's like, dude, it's like the North's the North. I mean, it is what it is. Boston people hate me. I hate that city. Um, but you get up there and it's just, dude, like gun laws are just about like abortion. It's such a big thing. It's like we don't need it. We're and hell, I knock doors up there. So like, I mean, people like up there are just not the same. Because like I'm not joking. Like we had a part time program and like I knew people up north, even in Indiana, which is rural too, but like they don't have like the guns like they have down here. Like I've had part timers have a gun put in their face, and then it's like it's my property, get the fuck off it, and they do. But then you get up north of especially north of Southwest Virginia, and it's just like nobody has a gun. They just want to sit there and complain. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like enjoy that, all you want to.
I just feel like a part of me is like I think about Second Amendment stuff, and I'm
Yeah,
like okay,
yeah.
like yeah, we can definitely put all these restrictions in and everything like that. I think that's fine. But
Well,
it's
yeah.
like once we start kind of getting into some of this stuff, I'm like, okay, like if you want us to start passing some of these regulations, it's like you guys got to understand how this like what this fucking thing is. Like I think there's so many like Democrats,
But like, if someone
especially
was to walk into like,
liberals who just don't know anything about guns, and I'm like,
especially down south, and I've seen this before. Like I watched a guy do this. Like you get a pawn shop, for example, and like let's say they're selling guns. If a guy was to get up there and be like, "Here's 2 grand," like let's say you overpay for a gun. Let's say just for the sake of talk here, it's like 200, $300 gun, and they put down 2 grand. It's like we're not doing any of like the paperwork here, or whatever. I can't imagine a pawn shop dealer's going to say no. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, our system just went down.
you think
Um,
so?
dude, yeah, it happens all the time. They're like, oh, hey, our system just went down, man. So I'm gonna have to sell it to you as is. You look like a trusted individual. Here you go.
So
And
I don't know.
yeah,
I feel like every every time I've gone to into a gun store, they've always been like, "Hey, like we follow the rules." Like for I think I don't know if I told you this. So
so
I went and picked up
yeah,
one of my guns and I had to do the registration for it. And so on my license it says Andrew Tenike. And he's
yeah,
like, "Oh, I need Andrew Biddle Tenike on there." And it didn't have it on there because it took up too much space.
right,
And the day before I showed my license to the guy and the guy didn't care. And today, when I went and picked up my other, or not today, but the day after when I went to go pick up my other one, he's like, I can't take that. You have to go give me your passport. And I was like, why?
yeah.
Like, why can't you take this? The guy yesterday didn't take it. And he's like,
Country's
well,
broken.
he's like, that guy broke federal firearm law. And I was just like, okay, dude. Like, I mean, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like I'm
no, it's
buying the
like
gun and it's
we'll
cool, but
just
it's like
do
you're
your
kind of
thing.
acting like a bitch about it. Or
Yeah,
not you kind of just sound bitchy about it.
yeah.
And I get it, but it's just like, yeah.
Dude, and like the thing is, like, it's almost like the country's broken in a way because it's like there's people that care about it, don't care about it. Like if I go into like Smoky Mountain Knife Works in Sevierville, they're gonna care about it. If I go into Greenville, Tennessee's East Town Pawn Shop, that guy's in there to make money. He's
Yeah.
probably not gonna care about it because it's
Yeah.
like you look at like our crime rate. It's like, oh, not much happens. We'll be okay. Um, versus like, in Sevierville, it's like, well, it's like, we're a knife gun shop, so we gotta be a little more careful because we have gun on the thing. Pawn shops are like, oh, we buy and sell gold, but also we sell guns. Come in here and thrift and buy yourself a 12 gauge, see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, dude. I just all this stuff is just so weird with like the Second Amendment stuff. I'm just like I just
Yeah.
don't get, dude.
I mean,
It's kind of
yeah.
beyond me, but
Yeah, I
I know
guess.
you went and talked to some legislator people this past week or
Yeah.
whatever. So what 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 do you feel like politicians are giving you the honest answer on Second Amendment, or do you think a lot of them are just like for example, when you're talking about Trump, do you think Trump is like, hey, I'm not going to pass anything because this interest group is really going to be mad at me? Or do you think he's like, I really don't want to pass these laws, so I'm not going to pass these laws?
I think it's more of just special interest. I mean, again, I think it depends on where you're from. Because, like, if you go up and ask any Congress member, especially, and I challenge you from like Tennessee or south of Tennessee, like if you looked at like the north of Tennessee border, the border in Kentucky and Virginia, everything south of that, most Congress members, unless it's like an Atlanta Congress member in like Georgia or like somewhere it's like more
Hmm.
Democrat or you have a Democratic Congress member, I think most of them are gonna, be like, well, my people want guns. They want their guns. And they want to be left alone. Charlie Wilson said that in Texas. It's like, I have the easiest job in America. I vote yes a lot. People want their guns. And they want to be left alone. So I think, in a way, like you get people that are just like they know what their special interest is in their area. I think Trump tries to like pass off those issues as much as he can. Just like abortion, it's like it's a state issue. Like I'm not dealing with
Yeah.
it. So I think if he can pass it off, he can. If not, he's like, oh yeah, there should be a process because like that's like the diplomatic thing to do. But I don't think it's like him saying there should be no guns. I don't think Trump is at all sitting there saying no. I don't like him. No, absolutely not. Because
Yeah.
you got to think. I mean, look at the Trump voter. I mean, the Trump voter is going to be a gun person. They're not going to
Mhm.
sit there and say no.
So so when you talk to legislators, they would be like yeah, like we feel like something should probably be done.
So yeah, when I talk to legislators are, for the most part, the ones that I deal with, they're for it. Like they're for
Okay.
guns. They are pro 2A. This is in the Constitution. You're right to bear arms.
Is that one of the issues you guys talked about with them or?
So 2A is not necessarily on the AFP agenda, but I know the conversation enough to like I usually throw it in there because it's an easy conversation goer. But everybody I talked to up there was pro 2A. I mean, Desjardins, from Middle Tennessee,
Yep. Is it
even Mark
Desjardins or Desjardins?
Desjardins. I can't really say it's like DEJ whatever.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, Desjardins Green, from Nashville.
Wait, so hold on. Just you may know this. Does Desjardins, is he the one that had like the issue with his wife?
No, that was Mark Green, dude. So
Oh, okay, that's Mark Green.
Mark Green, I said instead of running for re-election, he's running for remarriage with the lady he was having an affair with.
Oh yeah.
I made a whole meme that was like, yeah, he's running for remarriage. So that was a funny situation. So Mark Green, from what I know, was having an affair with this lady, and it got like developed into something crazy. I think his wife like took offense to it, and then he finally just divorced his wife and said, "I'm in love with this lady." And like it's like just like I'm in love with this lady I'm having this affair with. And like I think Green was trying to personally, and this is me talking off of my job, so I'm not, make sure I'm saving myself here. I think that Green in a way was trying to run for like governor or something statewide, and I think that was such a drawback. I think it's why he's not. Because right now, and I want to talk about this as well with the DC stuff, is that we're talking we have a governor race coming up. 26
Yep.
Billy terms out, and I've heard enough names being thrown around. I mean, we're looking at,
Who you thinking?
so I think rather early in 2025. I don't know when. I think we're either going to see a Marsha Blackburn. He's either going to come out and report. Then you got a Senate seat that you got to fix, and every Congress member and their buddy is going to be like, I want the appointment or I want the seat, whatever. If she runs, I think she clears the field. I think it's nobody's touching Marsha. Everybody, like Marsha, she's got it. Um, John Rose in Middle Tennessee, he wants it bad. He's got money raised, dude. Like this motherfucker's got like $7 million raised.
And
Um,
wait, so which is he the outside of Nashville one or?
so he is. Do you know where like Mount Juliet?
Yeah.
So like Mount Juliet area, it's like the east side of Nashville outside. He's not
Yeah.
he's not in Nashville.
So he's Murfreesboro.
Yeah, yeah. He's got like that east side of Nashville district.
Williamson County.
Yeah, well yeah, it's like Rutherford County and like
Oh, okay.
and like some others. Um but like, like Rose wants it, dude. But the issue with Rose, if he runs, Glenn Jacobs is gonna run. And it'll be a one off. Glenn Jacobs is going to have better name ID for one, and if he can raise $7 million, you're in the race. Like
Yeah.
you're tight.
And this is if Marcia doesn't go up to
This is
governor.
yeah. So I think if Marsha runs, it's going to be because I think her and Glenn Jacobs, just my opinion, I think they both support each other, and I think once they come to an agreement of whether Marsha's like I'm running for governor or Glenn Jacobs is like I'm running for governor, whoever they decide is going to run out of those two, the other will support the other. I think Marsha will support Glenn or Glenn would, vice versa. And then I think if Marsha goes to governor, I think we either see like a Glenn Jacobs senator, which Senator Kane would sound badass. Um,
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be the other way.
you think it's going to be Jacobs and May and governor?
Yeah.
So if Jacobs goes governor, it makes life for me a lot easier because Marsha would stay Senate.
And the reason why I say that is because what's his name? Who's the other senator?
Bill
You talk
Hagerty,
about Haggerty.
he
Yeah.
doesn't want to be there.
Well, that's what I mean is I don't know that I'm gonna say he's gonna
So
find another position, but I
so
think
so
he's not gonna be pursuing
so
anything in the Senate.
so Haggerty wants to be in the Trump administration so bad that I'm pretty sure he would like do whatever he got to be to get there. That's just my opinion. I think he wants to be in there really badly, and I think that Haggerty, not that he doesn't like helping the people. I just don't think elected official is his thing. I think he's like, I want to be in the administration, like as an ambassador to Japan, like he used to be, or whatever that he
I think
wants to do.
so. He's the kind of guy to me who's like doesn't like campaigning, and I perfectly get this. Doesn't like campaigning because it takes him away from what he actually wants to do.
Yeah, well, he's a family guy. Like I respect the shit out of Haggerty because I mean he's a family guy.
Hmm.
And I think he doesn't want to be there. So I mean, there's a chance. I mean, in theory, if Marshall was to go governor and Haggerty drops or he goes Trump at work or something, you're looking at two Senate seats just sitting have to be appointed, and you're just like, shit, dude, I gotta appoint two seats, and then you've got a special election coming up for that. But it's like, so I think Haggerty wants out as well, which is a tough. It puts Tennessee in a tough spot because it's like you're like, well, shit, dude, we got one of them that are over here like, I could run for governor, like, kind of want to be governor, and then it's like the others like, I want to be in the Trump org and I'm done, like I'm out.
See, that's why I
Um,
think they're just gonna bump. They're gonna get Haggerty out, and they'll keep Marsha.
I think so
Um,
too,
and
because I
then they're
think
gonna, and I think they'll move maybe Glenn Jacobs up, or there'll be probably some state senator who's gonna move up to governor. They're gonna do their thing. They're gonna whoever's gonna win or win, and I think Glenn Jacobs will win. And I think when Haggerty, now this is like the end of Haggerty's next term. I think it's then gonna be okay. Who's going for that spot?
I
And
think
I'll say this: I don't know. I don't think Burchett's gonna be someone running.
no,
I don't
no,
think the guy
Burchett.
who's down in Chattanooga is going to be someone running. I don't
I
think
think
any of the Middle Tennessee people. I think you may get someone out of the Northeast.
yeah. Well, I think Burchett too. I think Burchett kind of is looking for his replacement, but I think Burchett is also scared of. I think Burchett's afraid to give it up because I don't think he trusts anybody to replace him, and I really don't think he trusts most of the people in Congress right now in Tennessee. And that's one thing. I was talking to Harsh.
He's a little on the
Yeah,
outside of that, which is
yeah.
fine.
Well, I was talking to Harshbarger too, and like I love Diana. Like I have a great relationship with Diana. I mean, she brought me into it. I owe her my life for what she got me into with politics, and I love her. And so like when I talk to her, I try to keep it just as family friendly, cordial, like hey, Mama D, we always call her, kind of thing. But like I asked her like what her main concern was, and she said her main concern was that if Trump gets all the people he wants into the org, Congress could be looking tough. I mean, you can't get down to one,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I
you,
mean, they're already very limited because
yeah, yeah, and
Elise
it's like,
Stefanik and
well,
one other
it's like,
person's
it's
leaving.
like, it's like if you get down to one, it's like, you get down to one, and you're looking at like, well, what happens when a rhino comes in and was like, hey, I don't want to vote for this, or I do want to vote for this, and it's like not a part of the thing, and it's like, man, a yes is going to get crossed, or a no is going to get crossed, and it's going to be like, fuck, you know?
Mm. Well, but I mean, if you're someone in the middle like me, I said I think honestly you're gonna have another Joe Manchin situation. Where he's gonna be like, all right, let me see the bill and I'll redline it, and then we'll see if that's something we're gonna put in there or not. You know.
I agree.
So what about some of the other stuff that you guys talked about with, or just anything of interest?
So with Burchett, I'm just going to be a buck 50 here. So my boss, the one that you met at the AP office, David, he has the best relationship with Burchett. So like whenever David's around, Burchett's like very, very open. He talks a lot. When David's not around, Burchett's like not him necessarily, and it might be him, but he's very, very short. Cause like we kind of so David ended up not making the trip to DC. His baby got sick, and he's in that dad mode now where it's like brand new dad, like you know,
Mhm.
my baby's sick, anything could go wrong. So he ended up not going because, which is funny because so I was on a plane. I was supposed to be on the same plane as David and our other person in Knoxville, Danica. Um, um, and so it was us three getting on a plane. I get on the plane. They scan my ticket. I'm on this plane. They don't go because they get pulled off because of weather. And so David ends up not going. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I think the budget meeting's canceled. By the way, I'm sitting there on Wednesday night. Meeting's not till Thursday morning. I'm like, well, he's not coming. Like, how are we gonna get to Burchett, right? Like 8:45 in the morning. So Mike from Knoxville also comes down and it's like, hey, we're gonna have this Burchett meeting. Okay, cool, great, let's go. Like, I'll be up. I gotta meet with Diana anyway. I was planning to be on up anyway. So we're in my Burchett's office and we had some good conversation. Like, I kind of got Burchett's feeling some things, but overall it was like very very condensed. It was like, you know, he was very like, this is what I feel. This way. And he was being honest, like how he feels, but it was just like here, 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 here. Okay,
So give me an example of that if you can.
yeah. So you know, we kind of were like just kind of feeling out like how he felt on certain congressional things. He's like, hey, like, you know, how's everything going? Like, you know,
But like what give me like an issue.
what do you mean like an issue?
Like, hey, there's this issue in Congress about
Yeah,
taxes.
yeah. So actually, they're glad you said that. So I can't remember exactly what it's called, and I don't want to. So I'm just gonna say it's like a tax actor or something like that. And we tried to kind of get him solidified on it. And like, it wasn't that he was doing it in like a purposeful way where he was trying to avoid the question. Because I mean, he's obviously going to be on the Republican side of it, and he says that he's like, you know, hey, you know, the Republicans know what we're doing with it, and it's the right thing to do, doing this. And then he asked about like our state senator, like it was weird. Like it was like we're talking about state government, okay, and then it was like, do you trust him? It's like, well, he said you ain't gonna get much there, and I was like, really? And it's just like in that conversation, it felt like he was like the whole time like, I don't, because like in a way like I also was trying to feel him out for like, you know, hey, do you want to be, you know, like, you know, you're probably looking at either your next thing or retirement, you know, kind of like where you feeling. And I think it's just like I don't trust anybody right now. I just don't
Hmm.
trust anybody. He's like, you know, if we get the votes, you know. And he was just, and he was being so upfront. He was just like, you know, well, if we get the votes, you know, I know how I'm voting. I was like, okay. But his thing too is just he's worried about the same thing as Diana. It's like, you know, what happens when this thing fails? Like, it's like, you know, like if we don't have the votes or we don't have this or that, the other, then what happens?
So he's worried that it's going to be a tight margin on.
I think so. I think that's been like the biggest thing that I took away from the members from Congress members in DC, not the Senate members, but the Congress members are really worried about they're really worried about the margin changing. You know, Senate still feels good. The Tennessee Senate is just so weird because, like I said, Marsha's, you know, she's kind of playing her cards right, and I think she's trying to make her decision on governor or not. Haggerty's, you know, the second the Trump board calls, I'm gone, or you know, if not, I'm gonna try to get gone. Um, but other senators, you know, I mean, I talk to out of state people all the time too. It's just like, you know, it's just how you feel. It's like, you know, what do your people want? You know, is there anything we can work on? We want to thank you for voting for this or for that. You know, um, and so it's like, you know, it's just kind of a hodgepodge of things as we go through like the DC looks of it. It's like, you know, I'm in this Capitol building. I'm like, you know, I'm running through the office building talking to, you know, like I know these people. Like, man, like I'm like the staffers. Like I know them. Like I've been there. Like, you know, I'm sitting there. I'm like, you know, hey, like what's going on? And all of them are just like, dude, like they're just kind of just sitting around like wondering how this is gonna shake out. You know,
Hmm.
like
Do
how's
you
the
think they're going to
transition?
keep do you think they're going to keep Speaker Johnson?
No,
Really?
I don't think so. I think we'll get a new speaker next year.
So why do you think that?
I think it was a good idea in theory back when it happened, but I don't think Johnson like really lived up to like what they thought it was going to be. Like they were so ready to get rid of was it McCarthy? I think it was McCarthy.
Yep.
So they were so ready to get rid of McCarthy because I remember with like McCarthy and like Scalise and everybody they're talking about it, and I was just like everybody was done with it. It's like oh, it was like we're done with this shit. You know, cussing rid of McConnell. It's like man, we're done with this shit. Like let's we need something new. So Mike Johnson goes in, but he's very passive, and that's been like the term that we've seen all through the. I mean, even out of Tennessee, like even in other states, it's just he's passive. You know, He,
That's interesting
ask.
you said. So,
Go ahead.
so you think it's a good idea that they got rid of McCarthy?
I think it was. I've been
Really?
saying that from, yeah, absolutely.
See, I don't think it was. I think it ended up shooting them in the foot.
Dude, I want to hear your
I
take
don't
on
think they
this.
got
Hold
any.
on.
I don't think they had any political.
Give me the Andrew Ten Ike like statement on this. Like, I'm interested. This is a good
So I
disagreement
don't think
here.
they got any political fallout from it.
They didn't. I'll
Because
agree with that.
Democrats didn't. I think the reason I think it's because Democrats didn't push them on it and they didn't tie that into their message. I think that's one thing you could have done. You could have said Republicans haven't done shit. Be like, hey, they came in, and they couldn't get anything through the House.
Yeah.
Like anything through the House that could pass and get us to sign it. And you
Yeah.
could basically do the Truman, say they're a do nothing Congress, blah 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 blah. I think they could have done that. But Democrats were just like, no, we're not going to do it. We're just going to let them do their thing over there. And I think you had people like Matt Gaetz who were like,
So, are you
hey,
saying
I'm gonna raise a storm.
are you saying he like they gave him an unnecessary bad name? Is kind of like where you're kind of going.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would have been better if they kept McCarthy.
I'll be honest, because hindsight is 2020. I agree that McCarthy, I think, was probably a better move than Johnson. But my thing with Johnson is like, I definitely thought we needed to change, and I would have been like, I would have told you that. Mike Johnson probably wouldn't have been my pick. And everybody tried to like play him out. It's like, oh well, he's like this like faith based good guy. He's gonna vote for the right things. It's like, okay, that's great. Like we love that. And then it's like he ends up being passive, and it's like, okay, well, that failed.
See, I think
And
I think I think McCarthy was good. Like I think he was more in the center and had a better understanding of the caucus
he
than
did.
Mike Johnson did.
He did, especially the cards he was dealt.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a weird dude situation. Coming out of 22 after the red wave failed. Um, to kind of get back into being what it was. Then McCarthy getting the votes and like figuring it out. I think McCarthy did more with little um, than you would see like with others.
Yeah.
Because like right now it's like easy to be in those positions because it's like oh shit, it's like come on, we're getting everything back.
Yeah. I think really what kind of happened is you just kind of saw this almost like just infighting just happen out in the open of being like, hey, which way are we going? And I think ultimately it was like, hey, we're gonna have this guy who's like basically who's aligned himself with Donald Trump being uh the speaker, and we're gonna have him aligned and do that. But like ideologically, there's no difference between him and Kevin McCarthy for the most part. Maybe just not maybe the super religious Christian part,
Yeah.
but fundamentally, there's no difference between them. And it's like for
No.
me, it was just kind of
None.
like okay, like that's just kind of like oh well, we want Kevin McCarthy, but we don't want it to be Kevin McCarthy. It's like
See,
okay, you're
I
just
agree.
getting personalities involved.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I mean, I think they would have been better with him. I think he also understands politics a little bit better than
Yes.
than Mike Johnson. Like I was listening to him on the PDB podcast, and I was sitting there, I was like, what? Like I think this like he was very much like when he was talking, I was like, oh my God, you are the Nancy Pelosi of the Republican Party. I was like, it's like you understand where and how to bring the money into the program so that you
Yeah.
can put it in all these different areas and candidates so that you can potentially take back the house. And I was like you get that. Like that's something that you look at and you're like this makes complete sense and this is
Yeah.
how we're gonna do it. And I feel like Mike Johnson, like that's not him.
No, it's not. It's not. And I think that's part of where the issue lies. I think, and that's why I think a lot of people, including myself, are like not big on Johnson, is because I think it was just this lackluster thing. It was like we had this theory, it was going to work, just doesn't. It's not him. In a way, McCarthy had that. Like, and I'm not saying McCarthy was bad or good. I mean, I thought we needed to change. We got to change. It just wasn't the one we all wanted or needed. Um, and so now it's like, okay, well, there's that. Um,
So who do you have for speaker?
no clue. Couldn't
Do you
tell you.
think they're gonna try to do a Jim Jordan?
Oh no. Wouldn't hate Jordan, honestly. Good
But
old.
I feel like he's another one of those guys where it's like, okay, now we need to start passing legislation. And it's like, yeah, like I'm not super great at that.
It's like the first 100 days of Congress is going to be passing legislation. Like, let's just, that's what it is. It's like, especially with a new president coming in, Trump's coming in.
Reversing a lot of shit.
Yeah, that whole Oregon coming in. Yeah, like it's going to be, you know, like last year, the Congress members and their staff, when they had their fly out to go back home for Christmas, they had a good amount of time off. Now it's like, hey, we're gone for a week, we're brought back because we're going straight into the Trump Oregon, trying to figure out, there's gonna be a lot of stuff passed, a lot of things we're voting on, XYZ. Um, so just kind of seeing how that kind of frames out will be interesting.
Do you so anxiety is what is worrying Republican congressmen the most.
Yes. I would say that's been the thing that's been the biggest worry is like, are we gonna keep the majority, because it's tight margin, man. They're just like sitting on. They're like, man, it's like we get down to one because there are rhinos. I mean, there are. I mean, they're sitting there and they're like, what happens when the rhinos decide to do X, Y, Z? It's like, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I get that. I'm like, yeah, you can't get down to one. You can't get down to two, really. But it's like, the anxiety I think is a thing. And there's like this like fear factor of just figuring it out. And that was kind of my take from the congressional like meetings, outside of like our partner meetings in DC, and just trying to figure it the hell out. It's like, okay, well, this seems like something that's crazy. Um,
See,
and then,
I think what Republicans need to do is on cultural stuff and maybe even some national security stuff, it's like
sure,
let the I don't want to say the right wing guys, but let the more Trump aligned people take the lead. Let them do their thing. And then with when it comes to taxes, infrastructure, stuff like that, it's like let the corporate guys do their thing. Let them in,
real,
let them do their thing, satisfy them,
real,
and then just run 80% of the show.
real. And I also think too, from a Tennessee congressional standpoint, a lot of people are waiting to see how the votes go for governor. It's like because you gotta think like if Marsha was to go, you're gonna see a Harshbarger, you're gonna see a probably another person that are gonna gun for that Senate seat. That's gonna be like
Mhm.
yeah, we want the appointment, or we want to, yeah, we want this thing. Uh,
So now you're kind of getting me into another path here. What do you think is the issue with the Tennessee Republican Party, and what do you think is the issue with the Tennessee Democratic Party?
like what do you mean?
Why? Okay, let's start with the Democrats. Why are the
Yeah, go ahead.
Democrats not doing? Why are Democrats not winning in Tennessee?
There's three of them.
There's
I
three
mean,
Democrats.
so the Tennessee Three exists. They call them the Tennessee Three.
Okay,
Um,
I know who they are.
yeah, you know who they are. And like, I mean, it's
One
just
of
it's
them ran for Marsha's seat.
yeah, but they're just not. You're talking about Gloria, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Gloria, and then the I can't think of one
So
of
then
them.
you got Justin Pearson, and
Justin Pearson, and then
I
can't
know the only reason I remember Justin Pearson is because my best my best friend's name is Justin Pearson,
that's
and so
hilarious.
I when
There's
that
another
happened,
J, isn't
do
there?
what?
It's the other person's. It's another J name, isn't it?
It could be, dude. I know it's two black guys and a white girl.
Yeah, it's two black guys and Gloria, right? I mean, it's just yeah.
But so what do you think that's the reason why they're not successful?
I mean, I mean, just look at them, dude. It's like like Gloria got skull fucked. Like it was like not like, dude. I remember like so we have a bar up here. It's brand new in Greenville. Um, it's like one of those craft beer spots, where they like
Hmm.
import, and they lean a little bit more liberal. No offense to them, but like they had like a couple Gloria Johnson signs outside, and like there was like a point where like Gloria was like wondering why like Marsha like I think wouldn't debate or something. I'm like, why the hell would she? I'm like,
Yeah.
it's her seat. She's killing you, and it shows. I'm like, man, you got boat raced. You know, you wasted
Well,
money.
so I think the brand is just so bad in Tennessee.
It
I mean,
is.
like
I
you and
mean,
I talked about like, oh, like running, Democrat, Republican, all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm like, I should, like, I'm like, switch to Republican. At least, I mean, I obviously
Right.
ideologically you wouldn't
Well,
change, but just like
and
what
like
party you're gonna do it? Because I'm like, there's no way it's gonna work in
it,
fucking
it'll never work. I mean,
Tennessee.
Tennessee's a red state. I mean, that's why. And I'm not the biggest Haslam fan. I mean, Haslam was wishy washy. I think Bill Lee can be a little wishy washy. He's not as bad, but it's like, you know, we had a Democratic governor at one point. Phil Bredesen was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just doesn't work in the long term. I mean, even Bredesen tried to run against Marsha. It's like, what you gonna do?
Well, and that's what I mean. I just feel like it's one of those where it's like the brand isn't there, and it's like, yeah, Phil was kind of like, I think when Phil ran for governor, he was the only one in office. Like the Republicans had everything
Yeah,
else. And so it was just one of those where it's like, okay, did you really win? And so it's like you gotta go back all the way to like 2004.
which is funny if you want to say that. Like, well, let's go back in time. What happens if Gore wins? Being from Tennessee,
You know,
the Democratic
I've
Party
heard some people
leader?
say that and being like, no, one people point to people are like, oh, if Gore would have won Tennessee, it's like by the time Gore was he governor, I think, or a senator,
He's a
and it's
senator.
like, and so it's like, okay, by the time he left as senator to go work for Bill Clinton, like Tennessee changed. Tennessee
Oh
was
yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
no, like
No, no.
we're going more
That
conservative.
that was one of Gore's biggest mistakes. You
Well,
know,
it's just the state moved, and it was like he was on the national level, and if he would have had one actual elected statewide office, probably would have lost.
100%. Then Lamar Alexander walks the state.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I look at that like, like if Gore wins, let's say Gore wins in, for 2000 whatever, um, and you kind of go forward, it's like, maybe we are more Democrat. I don't think so. It
Yeah.
changed like you said when Gore was there. Um, and Tennessee has been transitioning that way for a little bit. I mean, we've always like, especially our rural areas, we've always been Republican. I mean, it's just what it is. But now especially, I mean, like I always tell people, I'm like, you can go vote Democrat, you can go vote Kamala Harris. I'm like, your vote's just not going to matter. I mean, at
Yeah.
all. Like you affected nothing, like at all.
Well, and I what I kind of look at is I mean, it's like, hey, look, Tennessee is gerrymandered just like everywhere else. And it's like, okay, like even then, like
Gerrymandering,
of the
baby.
9 seats that I think Tennessee has, could be more than that. Only like 2 of them were going to go Democrat either way. Even if you did like a partisan breakdown, like Tennessee's that conservative, to where it's like, yeah, like it just doesn't even matter. Like any way you do it, like you may get a somewhat kind of like light red district around Knoxville, but it's like other than that, like it doesn't really matter.
Oh, dude, I agree.
And I think what also really is seen in Tennessee is the roots of who's in office go way back. Like the people who are in it have been in it for a long time.
Dude, who's the lady in Knoxville? I think it's Massey, man. She keeps the Duncan name.
Oh yes,
Dude,
that's
dude,
exactly
dude,
what I was
dude.
going to think about,
She
dude.
she
It's
she
she
keeps the
she is
Duncan name, dude. She keeps
was it
that
John
Duncan name.
Duncan? Was it John Duncan like the
Yes,
third or
yes,
junior or
it
something like
was.
that? And then his
Yeah,
dad was it before him?
yeah, dude, and like she's married, but she
Yeah.
keeps Duncan Massey on her
Yeah.
on her. And one of my great friends love her to death. She's great friends with Becky, and I call her Miss Becky because I love Miss Becky. But she was on her like campaign team forever and stuff, and I'm just like, I know why y'all have Duncan on that fucking
Yeah.
sign. Like, don't bullshit
Hey, in
me,
case you forgot,
dude. In case you
remember.
forgot, I know exactly where that, because I mean it holds the power there.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
but
which is interesting that then now you have Burchett, who's like anti-establishment, and like that, like the Duncans, like that's an establishment. That's an institution right there.
yeah, Tim Burchett's my reason to talk aliens, dude. I mean,
Oh well, that's a whole different story.
go into
Uh,
his office one time and just ask about the drones, and then and you're good to go.
and for me, I'm just like I don't understand it, like why he cares so much about that.
That's I don't know.
I don't either.
Dude, I don't know. But if we have a representative to talk to aliens, it should be Tim Burchett for sure.
Oh, I don't
Um,
know about that.
absolutely.
He might be too. I feel like he'd be too much. He would be like he would be escalating. I feel like, and it's like I
Give
don't know
me,
if I want to be escalating with aliens.
give me the dude dad talk to the aliens, and and figure it out. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it just is what that is. I mean, Burchett, like you said, is kind of anti-establishment, and Burchett's built up a name. I
Hmm.
mean, Burchett's built up his name, and I say this like genuinely, like like unless Burchett like stepped down, like no one's gonna beat him running against him.
Yeah.
I mean, at all.
Well, and I was thinking about that. I was like, if even if you were going to run against a Republican as a Democrat, like you got to get some state house guy that nobody's ever heard of, and nobody likes to run for that congressional seat, and then you got to have like, oh, he like beat his wife and embezzled money, on like his
Love it.
criminal record
Yes,
to
let's get
like
spicy with it.
actually win,
He's
because
coming from
like
the
it's
sauce.
tough.
Yes,
It is tough.
yes. Oh, he's coming from the sauce, dude. I love it. That's
Well, what
hilarious.
was it? Was it David who was saying that like the Knox County Republican Party is like the largest one in the state?
Might have. I don't think it is. I mean, I can't imagine. Well, no, it might be. So the Knox County Republican Party is the only, like, you know, party that like they have like
Because
a like their election night watch parties in Knox County is like the Republican Party has a watch party. Like it's
well,
not just yeah.
and I've always heard because Memphis is obviously blue, Nashville is obviously blue, and
Hmm.
so it's like they're the next biggest state, and so it's like naturally like that's where it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, Washington County up here. See, the issue up here, you know, like when you get up to Northeast Tennessee, away from Knoxville here, um, is like even in Knoxville, and I'm saying that because, like I say, when I say here, I'm like I mean Knoxville. It's like you get these counties that have multiple parties, man. You get these Republican women in there that their husbands have
You told
money.
me about this.
They all want to be president of their little organization, and you know what happens? Dude, and I fell in the trap of it, man. I was going to like, I was trying to go to all of them, and they all because, dude, this is how like crazy like they like this is how paranoid they get about it. They all schedule their meetings on the same like Monday of every month. It's like the
Oh, I
first
believe it.
Monday of the month or like the second Monday, and it's like you have to split hairs because like I'll have to be like, hey, listen, I'll come to Washington County Republican meeting, or I'll go to the Knox County like or was it Moms for Liberty or like um not Knoxville whatever Republican Party whatever. I can't. I'm just used to Moms for Liberty or um all these groups, and I'll go to one of them and I'm like, the next month I'm like, hey, I'll be back I'll be back in 2 months. I got to go to these, and they find out you're going to other meetings, dude. They castrate you, dude. They're like,
Oh, I believe it, dude. I
yeah,
mean, that's one of the reasons why. So the Democratic Party of Georgia is kind of going through a reorg, and one of the things that I've been thinking about was I was like, you need to reorg these like county chairs for these Democratic parties, and I'm like they don't like it's a social club. It does not advance any political agenda, organizing, or anything like that. They're just older women who just like to yap, you know.
that's hilarious.
So, but yeah, yeah. These clubs are just kind of they're nothing. I'd hate to have to go to them for like a living.
Dude, I couldn't imagine it.
Well, it's basically what you did, right?
Hmm?
Having to go to all those county.
Oh dear God, dude, every month, and it's got to the point where you almost have to like go to like try to go to as many as you can, and the next month have a reason why you can't come back.
Mm,
Man, gotta I gotta like vacuum the ceiling, gotta walk the fish.
yeah,
Like I can't like just absolutely can't make it. There's no offense to it. It's just like that's just what it is. Like these ladies getting there, man, dude. Like more than one of them want to be president, and then when one of them doesn't get their way, that's just I mean stubborn enough, they go create their own group,
yeah.
and they hate each other. I mean, between groups, man, they hate each other. Um, which I was funny because like I remember going back home, I was like leaving Knox and coming back to Greene County a little bit. I was like haven't been there a minute because they used to have one party, and now they have three, and it's like even my hometown. I'm like, man, I'm splitting hairs in my
Mm.
hometown. Like, are you kidding me?
So any last things from DC that you want to leave?
So DC was fun, man. We got up there, had our congressional meetings, and kind of gone over a little bit. Had some other, like AFP side meetings that went really well. Kind of coming into the new year, there's going to be a lot of change kind of coming up into the world. A lot of political things are changing. I mean, my biggest things though coming from it is, the anxiousness is a thing right now, trying to figure out what the majority is going to look like. Um, but I'll be honest, this is the most psyched I've seen members in a long time. I mean, since Trump, left. There's a lot of people that are just pumped, man. They're so ready to get that organization out. And really, we're kind of seeing the end of an epoch. Like, so I guess that's a good term for it, is an epoch or like an eon. Um, I think everything from like George Bush, like W. Bush, like Junior, whatever, until Biden ended, was kind of an epoch, like a generation, like the 14, 20, whatever years. And like we're kind of like even Trump's first term was in that. Like we're coming into a whole new like which is a big thing. I talked about like our organization. Like I would love to see us like move into some like some different like talking points on some policy stuff because like most organizations there's a lot of organizations out here that are like relying on the issues that were a thing in that epoch, and you're answering stuff
Hmm.
that was a question 20 years ago. It's like that was great 20 years ago for a question to
Yeah.
be answered. But now it's like we're in a whole different era. I mean, Trump's coming in totally different. We're going to see a different Senate, House. I mean, the works. It's going to be interesting to see the switch up. Tennessee is going to be an interesting state to watch. I'm really excited for this podcast going in next year. 'Cause y'all are going to get it from me a lot because I'm going to be involved heavily in the political side of it. But dude, the political state in Tennessee is getting crazy next year, man. We're gonna have to figure out the governor race, some endorsements, and then figure out who in the state legislature here is gonna be getting gone and new coming in, what the policies are gonna be there. A lot of crazy policies coming up in Tennessee, a lot of crazy policies coming up in DC. It's going to be a crazy great year for Tennessee, but it's also going to be a crazy great year for the country. I'm ready for 99-cent McChickens and $1.25 gas though. So,
Well, let me know when that actually happens because I'm ready for those McChickens.
dude, those 99-cent McChickens, man, dude, some buffalo sauce, I'll be good to go.
So let me just say one last thing.
Go ahead.
I feel like Tennessee's got a little bit more going on. Georgia, like, dude, it's boring as shit. Like, I've kind of given up on the governor's race. I don't even know if Democrats are going to contend or contest it.
Dude, come move back up here and work for us, dude.
Well, I mean, we're seeing what we can do, but dude, I mean, there's
We're
just like
hiring.
nothing interesting, which like I'm kind of okay with because I'm like, like if I am gonna run a Republican or something like that, for whatever reason, or
Well,
be
we
involved
are.
as a Republican, it's like makes sense. It's quick and easy, but I'm like, they're not gonna run Stacey Abrams again.
We're
You know what I mean? They're not gonna do that.
yeah. Well, we feel here work for us, man. We're backfilling two spots anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Get
all
involved in
right.
some political stuff, but it's been great, man. We'll get excited, man. It's gonna be cool to see. Like I said, I'm sorry George is kind of boring there, but we'll get you
Well,
back to Knox and
yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's just it's not. It's not.
so
It doesn't look like internal politics is happening like
so I
in
do I,
Tennessee.
I do want to leave us with the Go Vols and
Oh yeah, we gotta go
you,
Vols.
you should definitely come to the game. I know you said you probably can't, but
Yeah, dude. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to.
is
Dude, if
there
you literally told me like
what
3 or 4 days earlier, it definitely would be a sure
what
thing.
so is the issue scheduling? Is that what the issue is?
A little bit. We've already kind of scheduled a bunch of things,
Because like
and then we
I'm willing
pushed
to
back some
I'm willing
stuff.
to practically give them to you. like,
I
like,
know, dude. I know.
like I'm talking like $1, dude. Like I'm like, bro,
I know.
like I'm. That's why I just want you in the stadium, dude. But I get it. I understand, dude. Didn't buy me up, bro. Christmas in the Hiltons again, dude.
Yeah, I know, dude. You can come open up presents with Mama and Papa.
Hey, they love me.
They like you.
I know they did. So hopefully, I mean, if they remember me, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll come up with my presents in the center of the clan up there. Like it's like,
Yeah. All right, let's leave it here.
all right, absolutely, man. Hey, love you, brother. Hopefully everything goes solid. And we will be back on here next probably tomorrow, I guess. If
Well, yeah, maybe tomorrow. I got one thing moved, so I'll be pretty much free tomorrow.